Meet restaurateurs and executive chefs Connie DeSousa and John Jackson. Connie DeSousa enrolled at SAIT's professional cooking program, and after graduating with honors, she met John Jackson in 1999 at the Owl's Nest at the West End Hotel. John Jackson has a Chef de Cuisine certificate and a Culinary Management certificate with SAIT. He also obtained a Master Food and Beverage Management certificate with Cornell University. Over the past 22 years, they've worked together in restaurants in San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, and Bora Bora, growing together as a dynamic duo within the world's culinary scene. Their first business venture was the award-winning Charcut Roast House, which opened its doors in 2010. They've since opened multiple restaurant and bar concepts, such as Char Bar, the rooftop patio at the historic Simmons Building, Alley Burger, Chick's Egg Shop, and Connie and John's Pizza. Connie went on to be named one of Canada's top female chefs after placing as a Food Network Top Chef Canada finalist, and she is currently a judge on the Food Network's Fire Masters. Jackson and D'Souza support many important social issues that touch the lives of so many Canadians, using food and their combined culinary talents to create awareness and help those in need. Restaurants for Change, Terroir Symposium, Alberta Culinary Tourism Alliance, Cook It Raw, Alex Community Food Center, and Chef's Cycle are the culinary organizations they've supported. Connie and John, we are so delighted to have you as guests on this episode of Culture Roulette. It's an honor to be in the presence of two chefs. We've got Connie DeSousa, John Jackson. Welcome to Culture Roulette.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thanks
great to be here. Thank you.
John, you started cooking at the age of 15, and I've read that it was out of necessity. Can you tell us why it was out of necessity?
Well, I mean, we all have our stories and about what got us into food, and you know, a lot of them are very romantic and they involve grandmas and recipes and memories. Mine was a little different, and it was much earlier than 15. That's when I started cooking professionally, when I got kicked out of high school. But out of a necessity, I had a single parent, my mom, raising 3 kids, going to university and working, and we needed to find ways to contribute. And cooking for the family ended up being something at a very early age. I mean, I was cooking meals before 9 years old. Not very good ones, but I definitely loved to make people happy through food from that early age. I just didn't know until later on in my life that you could make a career out of something like that. So out of necessity is because I needed to be a contributing member to my family, and it was a single parent, my mom raising us, and you know, we all had to pitch in.
What was one of your signature dishes back then? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, I do remember making pizzas often, and that's, like I said, at 9 years old, because we simply couldn't afford to order pizza. Like, you know, you hear kids ordering pizza and having pizza parties and birthdays, and that wasn't something that was achievable for us financially at the time, so I learned how to make my own pizza. And so I love making pizzas, hence why we have Connie and John Pizza now, because Connie and I are absolutely in love with making pizzas.
Connie, what kind of an impact did your mother Lori have on your cooking today?
Oh my goodness, you are incredible. I cannot believe this. My experience growing up was a little different than John's. My mom, Lori, was Irish Canadian, and my dad, Portuguese, immigrated to Canada from Portugal when he was really young. They grew up in Ontario and then came to Calgary in the 80s, and both of them loved to cook. My dad would cook recipes that were passed down through generations, mostly his mother's cooking, my grandmother's. And my mom and I loved watching culinary shows together. And I don't think Food Network was around when we were watching shows. So it was like super old school, like CBC, PBS cooking shows.
I remember those shows.
Yeah.
There was a Chinese cooking show that I used to watch with my dad.
Walk with Yan?
Walk with
Yeah.
Yan.
Amazing.
That's when I learned
Best
all
energy
about
ever.
garlic in the wok.
Yeah. So we would watch those shows and they would inspire us to go into the kitchen and make what we just saw on TV. And so my mom was super adventurous with cooking and with dining. I remember eating things like escargot and clams and like just foods that regular kids don't normally dine on. Like it wasn't like hot dogs and hamburgers growing up. So she both her and my dad were definitely huge inspirations.
What can you tell us, Connie, about Lori DeSousa's Memorial Fish Derby?
Oh my goodness, look at this. Who are you? You are so good at your job.
No, we have to for you.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So my mom, well, my dad's brother married a woman who grew up in Kenora, Ontario, and they live on this lake, and every year we would go out and visit them and we would fish. They love to fish, and it's mostly pike and pickerel in that lake. I think it's called Lake of the Woods. And one year we had a contest to see who could catch the best fish. But the photo that you didn't see was the one that we altered. So we had someone like standing closer to the camera with the fish and then someone standing way back. So it looked like Mom's fish was the biggest. And she did catch the biggest one that day. That was the one there. And then this one was a year after she had passed. We redid the Derby just in memory of her. And my aunt and uncle made a trophy for the family. And so, well, COVID kind of ruined those plans, but we were supposed to continue on the Derby every year.
So it's 1999 at the Owl's Nest.
Yes.
John, you see Connie for the first time. Do you remember meeting Connie in the kitchen in that moment, and you know, that friendship, that mentorship, and how it grew from that moment?
Yeah, when Connie started in the Owl's Nest, which was in the Westin Hotel, you know, it's where the Caesar cocktail was created in 1969. It was like an institution, fine dining, tableside, steak tartare, Chateaubriand, Dover sole, deboned. It was an amazing place. When Connie started there, I was already working there for a number of years, and Connie started as our apprentice. She quickly began to get everybody's attention because of her like hardcore work ethic. Like, she hit the ground running, and there was no, it was yes, and it was just, she was like she was in the military. She was very disciplined, and she had a natural ability to cook. She had a natural skill in her preparation. She was very meticulous. She was very paid attention to all of the recipes. She had we had an apprentice like logbook, recipe book, that she would fill out as she worked in all different stations of the kitchen. We would even, as chefs, go and refer to Connie's book if we lost track of some type of system that we implemented. It was so well documented. So, wow. I mean, she got not only my attention, but everyone's attention. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to work together for a number of years there before I moved to New York, and she ended up going to Germany, so.
Yeah, so post-Germany, you go to Germany, I think you're 21 years old, and then you get the call from John to join him at the St. Regis in San Francisco. How was that feeling, knowing that now you've been on this adventure, you don't speak German at the time.
Yeah.
I assume you're trying to learn the language as well, because that's kind of who you are. and then you go to St. Regis to join John. What was that adventure like? Because really, I really feel like this is really where the journey starts with you guys, where you're symbiotically connected now forever.
Yeah, well, John has been my mentor throughout my entire career, and I always say it's pretty cool that I get to still work with my mentor.
I mean, depends on who you ask.
Not everybody has that luxury. But because of this, John has always kind of like kept tabs on things that I've been doing throughout my career, even when we were apart, when John was in New York and when I had moved to Germany. And so we talked quite often, probably, if not weekly, monthly. So he really knew like what was going on, and I knew what was going on with him. So it was, I have to say, I really, really loved Germany. It was an incredible experience. I was in my early 20s, moved across the world to a country that I didn't know the language, I didn't know anybody in. It really makes you grow up quickly. I had moved from my parents' place to Germany. But I was ready for another adventure. I love Germany, but what culinarian, young culinarian, could pass up an opportunity to work with their mentor again, but also in arguably one of the best food cities in the world, San Francisco. So, of course, I said yes, and it happened quickly. I think I gave my notice at the restaurant I was working at, and I think I was in San Francisco within a month from
less than a
when
month.
he called me. Yeah. You can raise and lower it depending on how much heat you want.
What kind of a grill is this, Connie?
It's called a Parisia. So Grillworks makes the grill. They're a company out of the States, but their inspiration comes from Argentina. And what's really cool about the Argentinian style of cooking is that traditionally it's low and slow. So it's kind of backwards compared to our North American style of cooking, where we're super high heat, really hot. And we tend to use more tender cuts of meat to cook on our barbecues. But in Argentina, it's the opposite. And so they're starting from solid fuel, like usually wood. They take a long time, like hours, to burn them down into really hot embers, and then they cook higher up because their process is long and slow, and they're usually cooking tougher cuts of meats, like short ribs and a lot of bone-in cuts that take hours. And what we love about their culture is that it's all centered around the grill. So Argentinian families will wake up early, get the grill going in the morning, wait a couple hours, throw various things on the grill throughout the day. Another unique thing about the Parisia is that you can see that the grilling bars aren't straight like a North American grill, they're V-shaped. And so what this does is it captures all of the fats and juices, and it will prevent them from dripping down onto the coals, which causes flare-up. And the flare-up produces carbon. That's something that you never want on your food, that black, smoky, really bitter taste. And on a Parisia, you'll never get that flare-up. So that's what we really love. And then they're not on here right now, but they also come with these little chambers that sit in the front. And when you're cooking a lot of different meats and proteins on the grill, the fats will run down through these channels and get trapped in the chamber. And then you can throw things like garlic and onion and herbs in there to make a very aromatic fat that you can baste back onto the meat. It's pretty epic. Okay.
Lots of extra sauce.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
It's dripping down your arm.
Look at the drip drip. Wow. This burger doesn't stand a chance. It's crazy. Yes.
It's hard not to. It's hard to stop.
Oh wow. Oh wow. My neck is getting bigger than my waist right now just looking at this. This is beautiful.
So Porterhouse, unique cut, and it's kind of like the Lux of all cuts because you have the strip loin here and a little piece of the tenderloin here. This one's dry aged for about 100 days. So you can really taste the concentration of beef, the funkiness from the dry age. This is probably the king of all steaks, or queen.
Crunchy. Oh my. Oh my God.
That's gonna be that's gonna be good.
Oh my goodness. The caramelization on the meat.
It's awesome.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Connie and John. Wow.
Sure.
It's a collab between us and Trolley 5.
Oh, I love Trolley 5.
And there's John and I in our New York attire.
That's beautiful. Big shout out to Ernie Sue. Cheers, Trolley 5, Connie and John. Thank you, guys. Oh, my goodness.
Nice, eh?
Crispy, beautiful
Yeah.
summer beer.
Yeah.
Light.
It works really well with the pizza too.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Guess I'm not going back to work after this one. You guys have similar lifestyles. You have that healthy lifestyle. You're very active. Obviously you cook, you hunt, you fish. But the one theme, again, is the importance of, obviously, family, right? What can you tell us about your cycling family?
From cycling?
Yeah, from from Chef Cycle.
Yeah, Chef Cycle is organization in the U.S. And it's all chefs. It's like 250 chefs get together and ride their bikes in the fight for childhood hunger, right? It's an amazing event. It's collaborative. We ended up putting together the Canadians team a number of years ago, like 4 years ago. And our team has grown ever since. So we have a number of chefs here locally and actually across Canada that are in our team now that we participate in the No Kid Hungry. It's called Chef Cycle. And yeah, it's amazing. We raise awareness, not only in our backyard, but all across North America. Every kid deserves to be a kid. Like, my children have great food, it's accessible. I can't even imagine them having to go to school and being hungry and not having food that's accessible, healthy food. It's not okay. So being able to do something that's gonna impact that as chefs, but also taking into account that activity and that balance and that lifestyle and fitness, I think was a perfect fit for us to focus on.
Well, I have something to help you on your journey. The Cyclist's Bucket List book. This is a present for you.
Wow, thank
John.
you so much.
So nice.
It's amazing.
My pleasure. Did you actually ride from Calgary? So you rode from Calgary to Moraine Lake? Moraine Lake?
Oh yeah, several times.
Oh my God.
I ride to Regina every year too, a couple times a year. It's to see my family. So it's 800 kilometers. I do it in 2.5 days.
Wow.
So 300 kilometers first day, 300 second, 200 on the last day. Stay in some fancy hotels in Medicine Hat.
Teepee Town.
Last year I seriously treated myself. I got the one with the hot tub in the room. It was very nice. Soaking after a 300 kilometer ride, it felt very good. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna splurge. I'm gonna pay the extra $40. So I'm getting a hot tub room.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you need it.
Yeah,
you
it was
would
good.
need it.
It felt good.
So it's 2014. You're in Montreal at Joe Beef with Chef David McMillan. Do you remember the feast? Like when I left Joe Beef last time in 2017, I could barely walk to the metro.
Yes, I mean I remember the feast very well. I mean they're incredible hosts. I mean Dave he killed us. Like we could not walk. We could not physically walk out of I think I had like an hour nap before we left.
And oh my goodness. Okay, so what strikes my memory more than this feast. This feast was like the icing on the cake after the most ridiculous event experience I think we've ever done. We had got asked to go to Montreal to take over our friend's restaurant as guest chefs, and I was probably about 6 months pregnant there. And
I was too.
And
I was 80 pounds heavier.
Yeah. And so we didn't have enough time to fly there and prep all of the food on site. And so we had to bring all of the food with us in 2 very large, probably 150-pound coolers.
Yes.
And
The mistakes he had learned.
this was our first time flying to an event with that much food. So we had no idea that we couldn't just carry on or check a 150-pound cooler.
Coolers.
Wow.
I guess there's a weight limit.
Yeah.
I don't. Hey. I mean, why sell the cooler?
So what happened after that? What transpired
Well,
after
so
this?
we're running late to the airport, which of course is my fault because sadly I'm always late for everything.
Yeah.
And we get up to the check-in counter and the lady is like, "I'm sorry, this is too large. You can't check these." And so she's like, "You're gonna have to send those through cargo," which is at a completely different airport. And so she's like, "And if you guys don't board, this is peak season, you're not gonna get a flight for the next 2 days." And the event was in 1 day. So
It's awful.
we had to board
stressful.
and throw the coolers in a taxi, trusting the taxi cab driver to take it to
and
cargo.
we slipped him a big bill too.
Yeah.
Of course
Thank goodness
you would.
it was
You would,
winter.
right?
Yeah.
It
Like,
was winter, so
a very large bill. We cannot bring our food. It needs to go to cargo and be shipped through cargo. And if we don't get on the flight, we're gonna miss our flight.
This
so
is insane.
Into the taxi, slip the taxi driver, tell them where to go. It's all set between cargo's expecting it. We're on the phone with them. It's ready to go. He just has to drive it there, drop it off, and then we'll be okay.
yeah.
This is wild.
Okay, so we're fine now. We get in the plane.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Land in Montreal, everything's good until we find out that the coolers never actually made it to Montreal behind us. And now we can't find the coolers. And so we spent the entire rest of the day at tracking them down. And then also now we don't have any food and the event's tomorrow. So now we have to cook everything from scratch. We're in markets looking for food. It's like a gong show. The chef that was hosting us was so gracious and drove us around, and Anyway, long story short, the coolers ended up not even making it on the plane. Yeah, they were outside for like 8 hours, but thank goodness it was winter and we had packed them full of ice, so the food was fine. But they did arrive the next morning, and
No, it was midnight.
was it midnight?
It was midnight because we had to unpack it and
Oh,
prep
right,
it
yeah.
because the event was the next day, so
Yeah.
we didn't sleep.
Right.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I remember.
Yeah.
And
No
It was
sleep
nuts.
in the kitchen then.
And,
Oh my.
and she was pregnant. And we're
Yeah.
like, Connie, go home. Connie, go to bed. I think you did leave for a bit.
Yeah.
Because you were getting forced to.
Yeah. So this meal was our well-deserved celebratory meal after 2 days of the event.
Oh yeah.
Well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
It was
worth
a grind.
Yeah.
And this is a gift for you, Connie.
Oh.
Cooking for Ludacris.
Oh my
back
goodness. Luda.
In 2015 at Stampede.
That is awesome.
Did you actually
Thank you.
get to have, my pleasure, did you actually get to have supper with him?
Oh,
Did
she
you-
hung out with them.
Yeah. So yeah, Luda was performing at Stampede that year.
Does he mind you calling him Luda?
Ludacris. I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
we're
Luda.
buds.
Oh yeah, Luda, for sure, Luda.
I don't know. I'm not friends with celebrities.
And he was super low key, like came in with what I would have imagined were his bodyguards, two bigger dudes. And I was really impressed with what he ordered, because John and I have had the pleasure of cooking for a lot of celebrities, and
Sometimes a lot of people have a much more like low cal, no salt, no, right? Because it's they work out and they want it for their presence. It's rarely we find ones that
he
indulge.
went all out, and
Yeah.
this was prior to performing.
Like a chef would order.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice
Wow.
bottle of wine. Yeah,
Like
I was
amazing
pretty impressed.
selection. Like all the stuff that if me and Connie sat down to order, that's what we would order.
Yeah,
So
he's definitely a foodie.
Wow, that's great.
That's really nice. Thank you so much.
Great memory. Oh yeah, this book is classic. There's Action Bronson in there as well.
Fun.
What can you tell us about the time you met Anthony Bourdain, both in San Francisco and New York?
Well, yeah. I mean, first hung out with Anthony in New York. I mean, we cooked. We were doing an event together, the After Grammys party in New York, and he was doing one of the stations with his restaurant, and we were organizing the entire event. And yeah, I mean, he's great. He was exactly the way that he carried himself on TV. That was him. Like he's the real deal. He was the real deal. And yeah, I mean, we had some interesting conversations, and he was an important part of our culinary industry and still is, and in memory. And he's done a lot of things to push the needle forward and open up a lot of conversations about our industry. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be missed. We saw him again in San Francisco. Got to hang out with him a bit there, and he's a really big guy, as you could tell. Looking at Connie and I, we look like his small little children. Like his head is bigger than us. Like we look like his little very small children. Yeah, he was a good dude.
Yeah, huge inspiration.
Connie, what can you tell us about you being a judge on Fire Masters this year on the Food Network, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time?
Was it your third season now?
Yeah, we. It's a really fun show. The platform is really unique, where I love that I get to judge and mentor young culinarians on the judging panel, and it's a rotating panel, so I'm not on every episode. There's I think about a dozen of us judges that rotate through. But then the last half of the show, one of the judges gets pit against the last standing competitor in kind of like a roulette of or round robin sort of competition. And so I still get to kind of hone my culinary skills and feel that adrenaline rush and that I love from competing. So I really, really love the show. It's really well done. It's really a great platform for young culinarians. They get 10 grand at the end if they win against one of the judges.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'd say.
I've been trying for years.
It's really hard being on the judging panel because, of course, you want all the chefs to make it to the last round, and
of course,
there never really is bad food. It's just the bar is set so high. You do have to critique, and I hope that my critique is only going to help them be better chefs.
You know, you talked about you had mentors. Obviously, John is your mentor. I came across this quote when I was doing research on for this episode. A truly great mentor is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. It made me think of both of you when I saw this one. It's almost serendipitous the way that you met at the Owl's Nest.
Oh my goodness.
As your former selves, like, you know, in this stage, you look at the top hat here, the chef's hat.
Yeah.
That's a good-looking kid.
You were very handsome, very handsome. What is next for you on this journey? What is next? You've accomplished so much.
Well, you know, we have opened a number of restaurants, and we've grown our families, and both our families at home, but also our restaurant families. And I think we're just continuing to do that. When the opportunities come up, we love adventure. We have things that we crave, not only food, but, you know, new ideas but when it comes to the food, you know, we're craving fried chicken. So you have Chick's Egg Shop, which is a diner and fried chicken joint across, you know, New York style pizza is one of my favorite styles of pizza, especially for delivery, you know, and Connie is a big fan of the Detroit style, the thicker crust, and, you know, having that conversation, and, you know, my entire backyard is built around making pizzas. So, of course, well, we love it so much, we do so often outside of a restaurant, why not just make a pizza restaurant? So Connie and John Pizza, you know, during the middle of a pandemic. You know, Alley Burger, which, again, maybe started out of that necessity thing. We had product at the end of the night, we wanted to use it, wanted to showcase it, so why not sell it burgers out the back door, you know, and turned into being Alley Burger. So every one of those adventures were us craving something, not only the food, but the excitement, getting a team involved and being a part of it, you know, mentorship, growth, community with the industry, you know, being able to see our colleagues in the back alley eating burgers, and super affordable. It's $5 for an alley burger with a kitchen pickle back in the day. It's more now. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
That was 11 years ago.
Wow.
But again, it's an evolution of all of those things, right? Those things that we crave.
Do you ever find yourself thinking, what if I hadn't met John? Have you ever thought that to yourself?
Oh, for sure.
On a daily?
Yeah. What if I...
Probably have a lot less stress in our life.
I always think about our paths and whether or not I believe in fate. But really, I truly believe that the paths that we take and the choices that we make are heavily influenced by some sort of higher power. But it's really about the relationships that we've built throughout our lifetimes. And I am a firm believer that those are what have been the biggest influence on both of our careers. John's mentors that he had in Calgary and in New York, my mentor, getting to work with him throughout my entire career. I don't think that I would have been where I am today without my business partner and co-chef. So it's, no, for real, like he's been a huge influence on my career and everything that he's taught me. And even this was my very first competition that was published, and John trained me for that. And yeah, I can't even imagine life without like the path that we've taken. So
That's
we've
beautiful.
taken it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
beautiful.
it's the same. It's mutual right across the board. I mean, without having Connie as a co-chef and partner in all the businesses, we're partners in all of our businesses, and we're co-chefs in everything. Like I said,
Yeah.
we even made our own hashtag up, co-chefs for life. Like, we created that. That exchange of mentor-mentee is being exchanged throughout our entire relationship now, where, like I talked about, fitness and balance, and me craving to be a healthier version of myself. I mean, that was fueled, and I saw that it could be achieved from Connie. So is Connie my fitness mentor? Yeah, I guess she is. You know what I mean? So again, in the early stages, I see where that is, but now I think that it's very equal, that exchange where it's mentor-mentee. Like there's things that I learn from Connie all the time, and there's things that I may be able to offer Connie new insight on still, which is great, because I'm like, you didn't know that. I'm still doing a good job, right? Like, I could point that out, but I don't want to discredit for 1 minute. I mean, me becoming healthy, it saved my life. It made me a better dad. It made me a better business partner, a better husband. It made me a better mentor. It gave me an extended life, right? So, I mean, like I said, I lost 80 pounds. I ride my bike everywhere. I've never had a driver's license. I watch my eating. I have a Fitbit on, and I pay attention to the metrics. Like, I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my work family and all the people downstairs. I want to be happy. I want to be in a good place. And again, there's that exchange where did I learn a lot of that balance from? I mean, a lot of it came from It Can Be Done from Connie. And it wasn't from her not working hard. She had to work harder to do it. She'd wake up earlier to get in and work out. You know what I mean? She just never let anything disrupt that routine. So.
Well, Connie, John, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. I know you have a super hectic schedule, so we'll be forever grateful for this moment with both of you. Thank you so much for being on Culture Roulette, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That was great.